John. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to talk to you today about our Niobium projects. A lot of you have probably never heard of the word Niobium. It's a metal, number 41 on the periodic table. First, I would like to give it a bit of background. I've been involved in the Niobium space for almost 15 years now. So I started, been responsible for selling the Niobium product of a mine in Quebec called the NioBay mine. And I got involved in the last 4 or 5 years with NioBay Metals. And our target, our goal at NioBay Metals was to focus on the Niobium. And we got lucky enough to discover an old property called James Bay. And that's exactly what I'm going to be presenting to you today. So the James Bay project is located in northern Ontario, south, 40 kilometers south of a small town called Moosonee. We're about 100 kilometers north of Detour Gold, and situated about 400 kilometers east of the old Victor mine. What's unique with that property is all of the work were done in the 60s. So it was discovered in 1966. There was a two or three drill program that resulted in historical results. Resource area of 56 million tons of 0.52% Nb2O5. They extracted a bulk sample of 225 tons through an exploration shaft, and the material was sent to Lakefield in Ontario for processing there. So they ran a pilot test on the ore, and they came out with an impressive 78% recovery rate, which for that type of metal is actually the highest amongst the producers. A few years after, Bechtel completed a full feasibility study. They look at an open pit underground operation, and unfortunately for them, the economics weren't there to justify. And since that time, that project has been dormant until we pretty much discovered it from we acquired in 2016. So when we got there, we acquired the asset. Came with the asset is all the technical documentation that were generated in the 60s, and also we had access of all of the core, historical core, and everything was sitting down in Moosonee in the old core shack. So that enabled us to relog a 12 section of the hole throughout the ore body. We had RPA completed a mineral resource 4101 on the deposit. We got our exploration permit in 2019, in the beginning of the year, and we are very pleased to have signed a protection agreement with the local First Nation group there, the Moose Creek First Nation. So resource, our resource is 51 million tons of indicated inferred at 0.52% Nb2O5 for a total content of 265 million kilograms of niobium. That deposit was drilled all the way down to 275 meters, so it's very, very shallow. Everything is open at depth, and the resource is based on an underground operation, not an open pit. So there's a 6 million ton crown pillar on top of it, which is excluded of the resource. So you must be wondering what is 51 million ton of 0.52% Nb2O5? What does it compare? So to give you an idea of what we compare it to if it was a gold resources. So our resource is equivalent of 5.2 million ounces of gold at 3 grams per ton. So if we were to value an exploration company or a development company with 5 million ounces at $50 an ounce, we're looking at $250 million US market cap. And you'll see it, we're not there yet. So we're sitting on a very unique deposit that has a lot of value. So our milestone for 2020 is we're going to begin a drill program starting in 2 weeks from now. The drill are getting organized right now. It's going to be just 7 holes, 3,500 meters. We're estimated the cost around $101 million. We're fully financed for it. And we should get some assays result back in April. And what we're targeting is really not to grow the resource. The known resource right now is enough for more than 20 years of a mine life. We're very, very confident to be able to extend that further at depth just by nature of carbonatites. And what we're aiming for is the high-grade core. We could see here in red that seems to be plunging towards on the east side here. So we're going to target that area there. There hasn't been any drill hole done in the past. And also we're going to look at if there's extension of the higher grade there. And the reason why we want to do this is we, prior to, right after completing the resource estimate, we've done a preliminary scoping study internally. And obviously with suggestion to really try to see how the extension of the high-grade zone. And if we hit the target and can prove that the high-grade continue, that's going to have a significant impact on the value of the asset. So drill should be completed in March. The results will be out sometime in June, and we'll begin our preliminary PEA. So we should have a PEA published by the end of the year. The niobium market, it's very unique. I said it before. There's just 3 producers in the world. There's one mine in Quebec, the Naubec mine, and there's 2 mines in Brazil. One is called Catalao, the other one is CBMM. All of the niobium operations are now private. So for you to make an idea what's the value of our assets, I use the Naubec mine as our benchmark. So as of today, Naubec has a estimated resource of 40 million tons, the average grade of 0.53%. Their recovery rates are in the high 60 and around 68%, and they're producing roughly about 7 million kilograms of niobium a year. So we are estimating our operating costs around $20 to $19 a kilogram. And the average selling price last year was around $40 a kilogram. So you could estimate that their operating cash flow is $140 million. That mine was sold in 2015 for $500 million. And we understand right now that if you have $1 billion to sell, to invest, you might be able to grab it. Now, if you compare the Naubec to our deposit, we're 51 million ton at 0.52, so the grade is pretty much the same. Our recovery rates is higher, so technically we should be more efficient in terms of the niobium recovery. And our production target will be 6,500 metric tons of niobium a year, and that will represent roughly about 5% of the world market. And our market cap is just $24 million. So when John mentioned about 5 to 10 bagger, I fully agree with him. So quickly, what niobium is, where is it used? It is used in the manufacturing of high-value steel. We find it in the vehicle, bridges, construction steel, pipelines, stainless steel. We also find niobium in the aerospace, in the turbines, the jet turbines. Medical device like the MRI, and now batteries. So, Toshiba currently working on a battery. So 90% of niobium is used in high-value steel. The annual growth in the last 3 years was over 17%. And China is definitely the country that has the intensity usage is roughly about half of what it is in North America or Europe. But in terms of quantity, they're the countries who consume more niobium. There's no niobium in China, and the Chinese likes to to control all the commodities. So what they ended up doing is they purchased one mine in Brazil from Anglo-American. They paid $1.7 billion US for the mine. And right now there's no other niobium operation for sale. So target is, for us, is 5% market share. Other product, we can find it niobium in batteries. That's the Toshiba TNO battery that might be coming to the market this year or next year. There's a new development with aluminum, and also you could find niobium in smart windows. It's coming, that's for the future, but that's pretty much interesting. So company profile quickly, 52 million shares outstanding, a market cap around $24 million. We're $3.5 million in the bank, so we're fully funded to do the PE and the drilling. Our largest shareholder is Osisko Gold Royalty. They own 20%. Caisse de Dépôt, management, and some high net worth guys in Toronto. So we're trading on the Toronto Venture Exchange. And just last slide, why you should invest. I think there's lots of value. We know what's there, just a matter of redoing the studies that were done in the 60s, and then it's a matter of building the place and get it into the market. So thank you very much.